of human civilization. We have looked out across the ocean and wondered what lies beneath the waves. Invisible and inaccessible, the deep sea has long been a place of mystery. As recently as the 19th century, scientists debated whether life could even exist in the deep ocean. In December 1872, marine biologist Charles Wyville Thomson from the University of Edinburgh set out on HMS Challenger to settle that question once and for all. The Challenger expedition was remarkable. Over 4 years it would cover 70,000 nautical miles, discover the deepest parts of our planet, and encounter over 4,000 new species. A requisitioned naval ship, Challenger was fitted with purpose-built laboratories, as well as a special dredging platform. It also carried 180 miles of rope to take scientific instruments down to the very deepest parts of the seabed. 6 scientists and 250 crew lived and worked on Challenger. As she travelled eastward around the Earth, they took hundreds of deep-sea soundings, measured water temperatures, and made over 200 successful dredges and trawls. By carefully preserving specimens at sea, the team brought an incredible variety of water samples, plants, animals, seafloor deposits, and rocks back to Britain for further study. The Challenger legacy was tremendous. As well as sounding the deepest parts of the ocean, the Mariana Trench, for the first time, the voyage gave birth to a new scientific discipline: oceanography. – 150 years after Challenger, doing deep ocean science still means bringing scientists and everything they need out to sea. To do that, you need a ship. And not just any ship, a research ship.
My name is Murray Roberts, and I'm the coordinator of iAtlantic, a project that's conducting an integrated assessment of Atlantic marine ecosystems in space and time. I want to tell you what it takes to plan a modern, international, deep-sea ocean expedition.
Before anything can happen at sea, lots of things have got to happen back on land. Some projects focus on specific issues, like ocean circulation, fisheries management, or plastic pollution. But tackling problems like the impact of global change on marine ecosystems and the societies they support means we have to work across natural and social sciences. So many skilled people have to work together to make deep-sea science happen. Researchers and technicians, crew members and engineers, whether they usually work for universities, government agencies, or private companies. They come together to organise expeditions and get their discoveries and results straight to policymakers. For this, they need ships and equipment capable of working in some of the world's most remote and challenging environments. But all this costs money, a lot of money. For example, iAtlantic has lasted 5 years and cost 10.6 million euros. iAtlantic has also enabled over 70 Atlantic research expeditions worth over 50 million euros. So what is deep ocean science, and why is it so expensive? Research ships are like highly specialised floating laboratories. They have all the facilities that scientists would have access to on dry land, but specially adapted for life at sea. There are temperature-controlled labs, freezer stores for stabilising samples, computing facilities for high-speed data analysis at sea, and powerful sonars to map the sea floor far beneath the ship. But these ships are also a home from home for crew and scientists, often for weeks or months at a time. They have cozy accommodation,
Hi, welcome to my room on board.
catering facilities, communal areas, games rooms, and sometimes even gyms and small cinemas. Traditional research ships vary between 50 to over 100 meters in length and can weigh from 2,000 to over 15,000 tons. Some may have strengthened hulls to work safely in polar seas. They usually have big open decks with cranes and gantries, so large equipment can be safely put into and recovered from the sea. Even on a smaller vessel like Sarmiento, with only 50 people, every day at sea costs €25,000. Larger research ships may cost twice as much, or even more. But researchers and citizen scientists also use low-cost technologies from smaller ships. These low-cost approaches are important for expanding our capacity to study the deep and open ocean.
Alright, are you ready in there?
Yeah, all ready to dive.
Roger that, thank you. We have a green light to dive.
Scientific planning normally starts over a year before the expedition sets sail. The chief scientist needs a plan that will work at sea 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whatever the weather throws at them. This means they must factor in when people need to eat, sleep, and have time off to relax. They need work that can be done when the weather's bad, or if an important piece of equipment needs to be repaired. The chief scientist also needs to think about the best time of year to do their work. No one wants to be at sea in hurricane season or when the winter gales come, but scientists often need to make measurements throughout the year to understand the influence of the seasons on the ocean. All this means chief scientists need Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C, and usually more. Choosing where an expedition goes and what it does depends on the scientific questions being asked. For example, iAtlantic focuses on understanding change in deep and open ocean ecosystems, and what needs to be done to make human activities in the ocean more sustainable. We study corals and sponges growing on extinct underwater volcanoes, known as seamounts, to understand why these species occur where they do and what part they play in the food web and wider ecosystem. We're using a remotely operated vehicle, or ROV, to survey the seamounts. ROVs are underwater robots that give scientists access to the deepest reaches of the seafloor. As well as these incredibly precise manipulators for gathering samples and exploring the deep ocean, ROVs can be adapted to accommodate any additional high-tech equipment needed by the scientific teams. ROVs are connected to the ship by an umbilical with a fiber optic core, so that they can be piloted from the control room on board in real time. They give us an unparalleled window into life in the deep ocean, allowing us to shed light on these fascinating and mysterious places that humanity has never seen before. ROVs allow us to study life on the deep, cold sea floor, thousands of meters below the surface. This region, known as the Abyssal Zone, is the largest ecosystem on our planet, covering over 60% of the Earth's surface. Abyssal animals rely on food slowly sinking from the sunlit upper reaches of the ocean. As our climate changes, the plankton at the base of the ocean's food web is predicted to shift from large, nutritious algae to much smaller algae that will be quickly eaten as they sink. This means potentially a lot less food will reach the animals living in the abyss. We want to understand the implications of this by looking at how present abyssal ecosystems work. We're using labs on the seabed called landers to investigate how abyssal animals process food and to understand how active they are by measuring their oxygen consumption. Like ROVs, landers are another important tool for exploring the seafloor. With metal weights at one end and buoyancy floats at the other, the lander is dropped into the ocean and left to sink to the seafloor. Like ROVs, landers are a framework onto which we can attach specific scientific instruments. For example, iAtlantic's respirometer lander can hold equipment that assesses how these ecosystems work by measuring how deep-sea organisms use the oxygen and food available to survive in this unique environment. Having collected samples and data, the lander can then be returned to the surface by dropping its weights through a remote release mechanism. Having the right combination of high and low-tech equipment, which can be used in all sorts of weather conditions, gives the best chance of scientific success at sea. Using this technology often requires highly skilled technicians to work around the clock, maximizing weather windows and responding to ever-changing sea conditions. This means deep ocean expeditions take a lot of human energy and commitment. The scientists and crew need to plan their time to work 24 hours a day. On bigger expeditions, some people become completely nocturnal, working through the night and sleeping in the day.
Back in normal mode. Yeah, thunder's locked off.
The best expeditions have a mix of researchers at different stages of their careers, all learning and supporting one another. Many expeditions share updates from their work using online blogs, by taking questions from shore, or even live streaming their ROV dives over the internet.
The honor of bringing you the stream today.
Deep ocean expeditions normally last between 2 and 6 weeks. Often the limiting factor isn't how long the ship can work at sea, it's how much fresh food can be taken offshore. And after many weeks' continuous work, the scientists and crew need a break to recharge. At the end of every expedition, the teams share their results and begin writing the expedition report. It's the main reference for anyone working on the results of the expedition for years to come. One of the many outputs of a research expedition is to more accurately map the deep sea floor. Another is to observe and record the fauna of the deep ocean, including new species previously unknown to science. In the deep ocean, we may discover new species, but it often takes years of painstaking work to describe each one and confirm whether it's new to science. Understanding what's actually in the deep ocean is an essential part of knowing how to protect it in our rapidly changing world. Back in the 19th century, the Challenger expedition began a fascination with deep-sea science and created the discipline of modern oceanography. The Challenger report runs to over 50 volumes and is still used today. As our climate changes, deep ocean expeditions and long-term ocean monitoring are more important than ever. Deep ocean expeditions bring people together across nations to work on the shared challenge of understanding our world, its changing climate, and the impact that has on all who live here.
Success at sea brings out the best in people when we harness our collective curiosity, enthusiasm, and shared humanity, we can achieve anything.